that they're using internally.
Yeah, things are, well, if I'm any indication, things are definitely moving in the right direction. There's a
Absolutely. You're leading the pack, and agentic AI team here leading the pack as well, which is awesome.
yeah. Yeah, I think things are looking good. A lot of the things we've started or came up with, um, others have followed suit quite quickly, and yeah, we're leading the charge.
Keep going. It's exciting.
Yeah. I see Nick and Peter. Hey guys.
Hi.
Nick, but
Hey.
Peter, you need to have a your avatar picture like Nick's here.
Yeah, I should, especially
Wall
since
Street.
since today I'm looking like this, so an avatar
Oh,
picture would be.
oh, geez, you either got to fight with a raccoon or the shaving pushback.
Yeah, the shaving story is better, but actually it was a biopsy on some stuff on my face, so 11
Okay.
months ago.
Well, well, I hope hopefully you're okay.
No, it's
And
just
yeah,
rubbish.
life.
Yeah, like
And Peter, where are you located again?
me in Warsaw,
More so.
Warsaw,
Okay.
Nice.
Poland.
We're actually gonna hold an event now. I have to look at the list for the city, but it's about an hour away from Warsaw, a little bit south. So maybe you might want to check that one out.
Yeah, that's in Poland or someplace.
In Poland, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll get the
Oh,
city for you here.
and we're doing Germany too, right?
Yeah, there's one in Hamburg that's gonna go, and then another one that's more it's gonna happen sooner in Nuremberg.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, lots.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, lots going on. What's going on? I'm not around next week. I've got taken off tomorrow to Bangalore, so that should be interesting. Weather can't be worse than Toronto here. It's minus 21 this morning. What the hell was that?
Well, we're almost at the same level of temperature here in Warsaw now. We're today it was not so bad, but over the next couple of days it's going to be like 20, even minus 30 degrees in the night in some parts of the country. In Warsaw it's going to be minus 20. So, for what we've been having in terms of winters over the last several years, this is extreme, extreme in the extreme.
Well, we had 60 centimeters of snow a few days ago, which was the most snow we've ever seen in my city. And now this morning I got up and it was minus 22, I think. So yeah,
It's cold.
it's cold and snowy. It's weird. It's a bad winter here.
I guess this is a little farther away than I thought. It's in Krakow, so I guess
Hmm.
it's like around 3 hours away.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
who's organizing that?
the guy's name is Conrad Bujak. We'll see if it ends up going, but he's definitely he already has a network that he's a part of as well,
Mhm.
so it has a lot more likelihood of actually happening when people have existing communities and are already
Yeah,
running
exactly.
events
Yeah.
and things, right? So he talked about Warsaw. We'd love to get Warsaw on the map, uh,
Yeah,
so just something to keep in mind.
I'm thinking about it.
We would love to have you to participate in that, No
Yeah,
pressure, no
sure.
pressure, or find us somebody that that would, that is a tech guy.
Yeah.
We'll train him up on Cloudflow and some Reuben stuff, and then you know,
Yeah. Well, I'm just, even now I'm sitting and using it. I was experimenting now with this new extended MCP protocol that allows you to have a user UI within Claude Desktop or ChatGPT, and I've just gotten it up and running with some of my own API to my own visual aesthetic engine. So it turns out it works. We were chatting it like 2 days ago that it wasn't even working. The Anthropic placed some films where they were showing how you were getting charged and stuff from Figma. And over the first 2 days, it was really on the blink. I mean, even Cloud Desktop was having problems and it was trying to disconnect from the APIs. But now it seems to work already.
Oh, you
And
should show us.
Yeah, that
Like,
sounds cool.
yeah, we should
well,
totally.
not much to show at this point. I mean, aside from the fact that I've got a chat within which there is some rubbish. Well, I can give you a screenshot, but aside from that, it's not much else to demonstrate, right?
Well, even the setup is cool, right? Like you've kind of gone down that path, so that I'd like to see how you set it up and if anything else.
Well, I have to stabilize because I'm literally got to show some images because it was making some mistakes like half an hour ago. So over the weekend, probably I'll be developing that. So it probably makes more sense to show it once I've gotten my own head around it. But other than that, of course, yeah, it's a- it's actually uh, it's actually a pretty big deal. This whole MCP. It used to be called MCP UI, and actually it was a bit of a. It's going to be reminiscent of your roof's story, but this is some guy that did this protocol like I don't know 6 9 months ago, supported by a guy who works for Shopify. And then it took Anthropic like months and months to pick up on it. But they're crediting those two guys that they actually led the way. But this is going to be a pretty big deal for e-commerce because you can go into ChatGPT or well, in this case, Cloud Desktop, but ChatGPT has it implemented in a very close way, and you can just chat about what you want, and you can have a built-in app or an installed app that does much more than just chat with you about the product. So it's probably going to be important. Mhm.
I'm just testing the performance here. See if how Zoom's killing it. I've really taken over the freaking operating system.
Hmm.
I've got Ru. I don't know if me or Ru is maybe Ru Vector is AGI, and it just figured out how to insert itself into the very core of Windows. Yeah, that's crazy. So I'll publish this probably later this afternoon. All
I'm
right.
I'm convinced that Colby is AGI.
Yeah, seriously. I got it's not got a few bugs to sort out.
I put
Yeah,
an image of the screen that I just got working in the chat.
let's see.
Uh, it's as ugly as November night, but it's from within Cloud Desktop, so it sort of proves it works.
Nice. Awesome. I got totally use that.
Well, good. Then I'll finish it up and you'll be my first Canadian user.
Ah, perfect. I see Dragon's QE fleet is doing really well too.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that he's written.
It looks amazing. You know, a project's suddenly doing really well too for me is my Agent DB is seems to be taking off. So
Well, since we're on
it's like
that, how does AgentDB differ from RuVector? What is the overlap with the
it's a
relationship
s
between?
it's the same basic stuff. I just made it a little easier to understand. It's a DB it's an agent DB, right? So it's dumb. It's obvious. and I don't upgrade it as often, so it's more stable.
Okay. Because I'm using RuVector Edge right now for sort of in-browser and on-device agents that chat with each other and exchange information about what people have chosen in this the stuff that I just uploaded, in terms of their preferences. Or I'm beginning to use it, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
why.
good. Pretty good, right? I use it all the time. It's like it's dropped some of my clients' AI bills by a massive amount. Like all that ML that he used to offload and do like nightly now happens real time, as people visit their website. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice package. What I call that? I think I just called it Edge.
Edge, yeah. You have Edge and Edge Full.
Yeah, Edge Full is more stuff. I think it was Edge Full. Is that? And I also have the Edge Net too.
And do you remember what that is?
Oh yeah, well, geez, EdgeNet's doing really well as well. They're all doing really well. Edge, yeah. So there's Edge Full. I'll pop that. I should probably consolidate. I don't know why I create so many. Random. Sometimes I just get carried away.
Yeah, that's the problem with this AI generation. It generates fast, and then you can even read it. That's when this guy 2 or 3 weeks ago was telling us how he over the weekend did, like, I don't know, six who was it, Cornelius or somebody like that. I was really tempted to ask him whether he also had time to read it.
Hmm. I do try to read it, my stuff. Um, so this is the EdgeNet. So what EdgeNet does is shares the capacity. So it creates a
Oh,
global shared capacity for, using the edge and edge full, but then you can basically create swarms of people's browsers that essentially share their compute capacity globally.
yeah, you mentioned sharing the capacity, but I didn't notice that there was a package.
You're not, yeah, if you use Edge and Edge full, you're not part of this. You'd have to use this package specifically, but yeah,
Yeah.
this is how it works. I've got it all working. I was thinking of doing that in Claude Flow, but then I thought, no, I don't want to take over people's computers, so I didn't do it. But
Good call.
or well, without opting in, and anyway, yeah.
Oh, that's
To be honest, there's like you slap a WASM in these things, and it communicates to a third party. It's just about opting in. I don't think you should do that without asking. How you doing, Rob?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm on site today, so I look a little fancier than normal. But do we have
Oh,
is is
listen,
Brad here?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't see him. Well,
Okay.
you got to show us your fancy.
Oh, you don't see me?
well, we see
No,
the awareness layer only.
yeah.
Oh, got it. Got it.
You're
I'm
competing
in with
with
my
Nick
phone.
apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put up my
I'm in twice.
my Wall Street.
Oh, glad you are competing with
Yeah,
Nick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rob looks good today, man.
yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
Down
James
at
Bond,
Keller
man.
Williams.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Sean
But
Connery. Sean Connery.
That's right. Clean up sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the joy of working from home the vast majority of the time, you know? You get your favorite old t-shirts, you're good to go.
yeah,
Life.
exactly.
So we have Div Garg today,
Okay.
one of the co-founders of Multion, and then the current CEO of AGI Inc. Pretty neat to have him with us. And then I think Brad, there's a fellow member, Andreas, who's got some open stuff, source stuff he's been working on. He may be available to present. I just got to confirm with Brad. But we should get some interesting quality time. If I'm not mistaken, Multion was ultimately I know that OpenAI was an investor, and that was a very early version of the automated agent that works on your PC. So it should be a fascinating conversation to be able to have.
Nice. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a demo of a agent that takes over your PC as well today.
Fantastic.
So
Is this Your agent browser?
No, this is my
Roofbot.
my Roofbot embedded into the very fabric of your operating system on Windows or Mac, and it can take over basically anything on your computer, learn and operate it from like desktops to games and everything in between.
Fantastic. So it's a merger between the optimizer and Roofbot.
Yeah, well, Roofbot is essentially agentic flow. Just to be clear,
Okay,
I,
got
I I put that out ages ago, but you know the
Mhm.
world went all nuts over Claudebot, which is
Yeah.
a very very rudimentary version, I might add. But you know, whatever.
Yeah. We're at top of the hour.
Oh, here we are. Sorry, let's hit the record button here. Sorry, guys, I was daydreaming. All right, recording the cloud. Whatever you say will and can't be used against you forever. We're broadcasting on LinkedIn and YouTube. You gotta Google it to find it. Okay, we're recording. Here we are. While I was dissing on the Claude bot, which I guess anyone joined the top of the hour got my unfiltered version. That's been the topic of the week, pretty much. Everybody asks me about it, and it's definitely a moment for agentics, right? It's like everybody's talking about what we've essentially been doing for a while.
Mhm.
So that's good, I think, right? It's not necessarily the worst thing to be to that something has had a viral moment. And I think they're getting a lot of bad pushback on things that are easily fixed. So like I looked at the code, it doesn't look that bad. I think it does what it's supposed to do. It's elegantly built, it's modular, it's got plugins. It now the only thing that they didn't do is like the default deployment when you're trying to use it, they probably should have included some security considerations as part of that default Docker. But literally, it's like asking Claude to say, "Hey, can you go secure that deployment for me?" And it's actually secure. So it's not. I can't diss on it that much, other than the fact that we did that like a year ago.
Yeah. I remember the demo too. You had it auto applying for job applications as just a random demonstration, and it was blisteringly fast a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting time. I love to see others do well. So hats off to those guys. They did it and had the right inflection. So good for them. What do we got going? What do we got going on today?
Yeah, well, it's fascinating and absolutely fitting because one of our guests today is Div Garg. And Div Garg was one of the co-founders of Multi-On and is now the CEO of AGI Inc. So that's really exciting. That's by way of Matt Matthews. So we've got him joining us today. And then there's a member, Andreas. I'm just going to click in to confirm with Andreas. He's got some really neat open source stuff that he's working on too.
You've got to have a lot of courage to call your company AGI and come on to the AI Hackerspace.
AGI
So
Inc.
yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll see we'll see how AGI, if it passes our AGI sniff test, and I have a digital AGI sniffer that we can set on it. No, I'm just kidding. It's totally not an AGI sniffer. But it'll be exciting to see what they put together, and I'm a big fan of the work that these guys have been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got some other things, housekeeping to do. One of the things that we've been looking at is our retreat, and the guys in Killington, Mark and Mac, yeah, they've put together a nice little website here, the Agentics Foundation Retreat. So there's a crew of us heading to Vermont, Killington, Vermont, which according to the guys in Killington, Vermont, is the best mountain in the Northeast.
It is.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that actually is the best mountain in the Northeast, as far as I'm aware. They're not just saying that.
150 trails. Yep.
Yeah, 150 trails, right? So if you're into snowboarding or skiing, I'm gonna ski because I'm too old to learn new things. And I know how to ski. So yeah, my teenage sons are coming too, but they snowboard. But they don't have any time for me. They're off doing flips and things. Everything you need in one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get together and we're gonna hang out and build stuff. That's the idea. I'm hopefully gonna have some hardware with me as well, so I might bring a few chips and things that we can hack some physical devices as well.
Amazing.
And I think we're gonna bring some Starlinks. I think is what we discussed yesterday to try to improve the internet because we're off in a mountain somewhere and we're concerned there might be bandwidth issues. Hopefully that works. Maybe I think Martin offered that we could borrow his, so maybe we'll bring a few of those with us. Yeah, but basically, it's an agentic weekend. The idea is that we do this twice a year, and we get together, we build, we have a few drinks, we get to know each other in a more casual setting, and we do what we do always. Here's it's expensive this time of year. That what can I say? 2026 is not cheap, but everything's included. They tell me food and drinks and all that sort of stuff. The mountain isn't. But we're on the mountain. I think you can actually like ski into their spot or whatever. But you'd have to get that separately. I don't think that's too much extra. But this is what they put together. They own a small boutique hotel, and there's a neighboring hotel that's like walking distance, like I think like across the street sort of thing. They've got a little. Oh, it looks like there's a $500 off. I don't know that's new. I didn't see that yesterday. So yeah, make sure you grab that, I guess. The idea is to make money on this, just FYI. And if there's any money left over, we're putting it into the Agentix Foundation to sort of support the foundation. This isn't intended to be a money-making endeavor. It's more of a let's get together and talk AI kind of thing.
Yeah.
What am I missing? Wait, what else? What else, Rob? It's probably
Let's see. Boy, there's so much stuff going on, but that's a big one. And then you're traveling next week, so you're off to Bangalore, which is incredibly exciting. You get a chance to actually spend time with craftsmen. We're all jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, he's coming. He's coming. I think a couple other folks are coming as well. I'm at the Marriott in Bangalore. I'm there on business. It's one of those. Um, I got a call like, hey, you want to do you want to do this hackathon in Bangalore? Nah, I don't like leaving the house kind of thing. I kind of happy. Let's do it over Zoom. And then it's like, well, what if we did this? And I'm like, one of those. What if we did this? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's you know that's
Sure.
that was the entire negotiation summarized, but they made it worth my while, so thanks for that. And I guess I do have to get out of the house occasionally. And it's funny because I find out about these groups and there's like this giant company, then like hundreds of people are like using like my tools in the company, and then they inevitably ask like, who's this guy that built it, and then they show up on my doorstep.
Then the phone rings. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's
It's
kind of
being
funny.
adopted. Yeah, it's being adopted organically by the
Yeah.
engineering committee, and that's it.
Yeah, so that this month Cloudflare is hitting I think 150,000 active users. So that's a decent number.
It's
Decent
the real
number
deal.
for sure. Yeah. So it's been exciting to sort of see how that's been growing. I don't need maybe I'll get a viral moment, but I think slow, steady monthly growth is just as good.
That's right. Yeah. There'll be a viral moment. Something's gonna pop off.
Oh,
Yeah, no doubt.
my biggest viral moment was essentially like, oh my God, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He created Wi-Fi decompose, and it doesn't work because you're not using a Wi-Fi decompose router. It's not that it doesn't work. It doesn't work on all Wi-Fi, but of course it was a cautionary tale on how vibe coders can build things that they think are completely effective but aren't, but it actually is. But that was like 10 million views on that stupid post.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then
Anyway,
next week we should mention for next Friday when you're gone. Hopefully you can dial in for the Thursday. We'll come up with something to do for the Thursday. But then what we're thinking for next Friday is that the Finland chapter out of Helsinki will take the reins for the Friday episode next week. And we get a chance to hear all about the incredible work that Timu and Mikko and Aegeon are doing, helping the Finnish government
and
steer
Tommy,
into what?
You can't forget Tommy.
Oh yeah, and Tommy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, helping the Finnish government steer into an AI native future. And it's remarkable what's taking place in Finland. So I think there's going to be some excellent lessons, certainly for Canada and for people that are working in laying down the plans for streamlining governmental services. So it should be just a fascinating episode next week, and they're going to have a bunch of guests and demos from folks from the Finnish chapter. So it will be live from Helsinki next Friday. So that should be really exciting.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
I wish we should do that more often with me involved too, because I feel like I want to be there, but I don't think I can make it. I think it's just I think I'm actually flying out Friday night next week, and from there,
Right.
which would be right around now. So what probably won't work
But in
unless
the
you.
future, for sure, like it'd be great to give Paris and London, New York City a chance to, be invite folks from their local communities for the Fridays. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. On Saturday night, I'm going to be on this flight,
Yeah.
for like 20 hours. And I was thinking maybe I might, if I get the Wi-Fi working at 38,000 feet, I might do a little 38,000 foot hackathon. Right?
Excellent.
I'm in business or first or whatever it is they stuck me on this flight to India. So I get some room to spread out and. It's it'll be my office in the sky on Saturday night. So I will probably go on to the Discord, and if anyone's interested, if I get it working, fingers crossed, we can do some hacking in the sky. All right. Speaking of hacking in the sky, I want to show you guys some stuff I've been working on. So I've been working this week on the optimizer. So I managed to optimize both Mac and Windows using this little tray here. So if you go in here, you can see I can optimize and do different settings. But I added a control panel. So inspired a little bit by the work of like the Power Toys and Windows. I said I'm going to create my own Power Toys that takes over the internal core operating system of both Windows and Mac OS from the kernel level all the way up to all applications. That's what this thing does. So this is the first screen you see here. And this is actually 3JS. I figured out how to run 3JS in a desktop app. This is a desktop app, not a website or anything like that. I'm using website UI stuff, but it's a fully compiled application in an exe type app. Now I can go in here and optimize all my apps. You can see I create a little animation, boom, it does that. But I also added different optimizations here for profiles, so I can speed up my computer for different things I'm doing, and it can auto switch if I need to. So if I'm doing something that's a little more intense, I can do that. I got a monitor that looks at my health. So this is using all the Root Vector self-learning capabilities. It incrementally using the attention, the hyperbolics, all the stuff that you would normally use. I took that and said, how can I understand the signals and everything that's happening inside of my computer in real time and then optimize for it? So, I can go to the logs here. I can see what's happening. So you can see memory polls here. It auto-optimized here a few minutes ago. And I can see what it did. I can copy the JSON. I can see the different sort of patterns emerging. This is a really good way to sort of show the capabilities of self-learning system. And I can go in here. I can see my sort of startup. I can enable or disable different parts of the start. You see my root vector memory system, for example, different apps I'm currently running, OneDrive, Teams, Discord, my Razor stuff. Now we have the governor. So if you've ever played with Linux subsystems, what this does, there was an idea yesterday, which was really cool. I forgot who suggested it, but someone suggested that I take this Windows subsystem and not only optimize the RAM in sort of CPU, but I could actually act as a kind of defragger for the actual Windows subsystem, so it doesn't take up so much space in your hard drive. So yeah, I got that working as well. So you can reclaim memory, so you don't have to create this giant Windows subsystem sort of hypervisor. It can kind of quantize it, make it much, much smaller, which there alone is a pretty cool use case. So you can see the processes, you can see how much it's using. I also created a build optimizer. So for those that are building like I am for different environments like Mac or Windows or Linux or whatever, or even these little devices, this system will optimize your build process. And this has had a dramatic effect on the time it takes me to do builds, especially larger builds. You can see that my biggest build right now is Rust related because I do a lot of Rust. But if I want to clear that one button, I'm cleared. I can look at my build. I haven't done any builds today, so I don't see anything there. This leak detector is kind of cool. The leak detector looks at different applications that are running. So you can see here that VS Code is particularly bad. I'm not sure what MS Edge, so MS Edge is it's embedded itself into pretty much everything. So it kind of sucks. Here we go. Zoom I'm running right now, so I can see that it's optimizing. So it's kind of cool. And then I can optimize all these parts as well. I'm not going to do that since I'm already sort of showing my screen. I'll probably crash Zoom if I did, but you can see this is a real-time self-learning optimizer. The predictive prefetcher, this provides the ability to prefetch certain things so it starts faster. You know, some apps just take a few minutes to start. This fixes that. And it's training a model directly on a Markov chain-based application launch prediction. Who I don't think anybody's ever thought to create a Markov chain-based application launch prediction system. So there you go. We got that. We may not have the bot moment, but we have that. All right. We've got thermal aware scheduler. This allows me. So when your CPU gets too warm, it throttles and gets slow. And so for a lot of people who have, older computers, and remember there's a headspace on computers. One of the problems you're really facing is this sort of balance between the temperature and the performance of the computer. So RAM's important, but so is the temperature. What this does is it optimizes the sort of use between CPU, GPU, and fan speed, and reduces and optimizes those in an intelligent way that means you're not ever throttling your CPU, and your system will run a lot faster. This monitors that in real time, learning and adapting and seeing all the various processes. This is, again, what's running currently. This is real and 100% live. The plugin, I'm still working on the plugin store, but the plugin is interesting. So I needed to figure out a way to build a cross-platform mechanism to deliver these smart agentic applications that I'm building, Root Vector and Claude Flows and Claude Codes and all that stuff, as a way that can be easily implemented on both Linux, Mac, or Windows. But I didn't want to have to use like an EXE or the DVG or whatever it is on Mac and so on. So what I ended up doing is using a WASM. So the WASM, self-contained, no external components. You can basically install it, and I can run this the same way on any environment. Now I'm securing that with ED25519 and a few other things. I'm using a WASM or runtime. But yeah, you can go in here. You can install all these. I'll probably make this available for others as well. This is kind of cool. Here's the GPU memory system. This optimizes your GPU performance. This is particularly important if you're doing any level of inference or any GPU heavy things, which you sometimes do. I can optimize specifically for the environment. I can see what's using my GPU currently. No VRAM leaks detected. So lots of different options there. Bloatware. Let's say I want to lose the bloatware. I think, this kind of reminds me a little bit of like Semantic or Norton a little bit, but this is like, rather than being like security focused, or this is made for like, basically infusing AI into the core of your application environment. Yeah, so I can get rid of random things here. Here's the time traveling system allows me to go back in time. So if I had a configuration that was highly optimized 2 weeks ago, I can just go back and restore that, and the system will start working like it was at that point. I can create a checkpoint, and we'll call it AI Hackerspace. I'll create that. Now we get an AI, and now I've got a checkpoint. I can start running from this point forward. It's kind of cool. I can see after, like, if I'm going to install drivers. Like, I do a lot of like mucking around with the internal parts of my systems, right? The Mac I've completely customized, and my Windows I've also completely customized. And like it or not, sometimes I screw it up pretty good. So what this does is allows me to recover from my internal system hacking. The last part, and I'm not quite, this isn't quite done yet, but this is going to be the part that's the craziest. What this does is I'm using a series of visual and computer use language models, free ones that run locally, to do to basically learn watch the system. So as I'm using different applications, let's say I'm using, I don't know, my browser, or I'm playing a video game. The system can then stream the output of that video game in real time, because I'm infused into the core of your operating system, learning and watching and understanding how that video game, for example, works. And then once it's done training, I can then have it actually operate that video game, or play poker, do a CRM, whatever it is that you're doing on the computer. It can then do that thing because it's watched you do that thing for a while. Typing, moving your mouse around, whatever it is that you need to actually operate that thing. And then I can, train a model in real time based on that, which again, don't think anyone is doing. I've got the ability to take this and do like any kind of model at this point. If you want to, train your own language model, or invent your own new model, which is a concoction of all my stuff, you can go in here and train those models. I'm not going to click the train model because I'm sharing the screen right now. But you see here, I've got a few different model tiers that I've made available. So I can load my grounding model. It's loaded. You can see how much VRAM it's using. And then I can click train model. Boom, you're training a model. Like
Really.
super, super simple.
That's like one of the last frontiers of data enclosure.
Yeah, look, so here's the self-training metrics, success rate 84%. This is real, guys. Real stuff. I've got improvement over baseline 12%. Like it's watching, and I've got my AI defense system built right in, so I can have real-time threats, people trying to hack me, or personal identifiable information, real time from the core of my freaking operating system, learning and adapting. Currently, there's none. I had to forcibly try to exploit my system to make sure that it actually works, but it does. It totally works, but it's always watching. So back to this idea of, I installed Claude Bot, and it's a massive security problem. The AI defense would have allowed it to operate, but would have guided and modified it in a way that meant that it wasn't going to be insecure. So you can feel comfortable in essence randomly installing crapware and not have to worry that the crapware is secretly stealing all your information. Or moreover, let's say you're worried that there's some kind of background spyware, although in fairness, I'm kind of a background spyware, but it's all open source. Just look at my code. But there's a malicious background spyware secretly sending information. This is going to find it in real time, sub 1 millisecond. So I'm operating as fast and as close to the silicon as you possibly get. So there's no way that something's going to slip by, because this is just faster than most processes in your computer. This acts as a kind of preprocessor before that information ever hits the OS kernel itself, which is just incredible. Just to all right, we got light. Oh, we got light mode. I know you guys like light mode, so we got light mode. Let's do a deep clean. Boom. All right, yeah, that's what I've been building. And I think the agent stuff in particular is going to be like, who needs an agentic browser when you can have an agentic OS? And that's what I've built.
Hey, Roof. So this is pretty cool. One thought I have you thought about like you have like right now for like heavy jobs like Rust building, right? To farm them off to like the cloud, or maybe if you have another computer sitting nearby being
Yeah,
idle, so you can
yeah.
ship a container there. So it would be like a more.
It's
So if
funny.
you have resources available, like then you will run the Rust build, right? But if you do in a
Yes.
Rust build, so doing something else, you would just ship these jobs like somewhere else, like and
Yep.
how you.
So you're the second person to ask me that today. So yes, I've already built that, and it's called. You can install it. It's EdgeNet. That's what this does. I might put it as into this. We could have an optional opt-in network that allows you to share your GPU and CPU compute. We could do it for
All right.
good. We could do like cancer research, that kind of thing. But in this case, that's what this does, and this
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. But if you have another desktop sitting around in your house, like that just nobody using, you can just ship the build over there. Like
it doesn't have to, the network can be you, right? It doesn't have to be public, right? In that, for example, you can use the edge component here. well, no, actually, Edge Full is the one that's popular. I'll show you that one, Edge Full. So
Mhm.
what this you're the edge.
Mhm.
So what this allows you to connect all together. Now, if you're asking me to put it into this, yeah, totally.
Mhm.
I should totally put it into this, and I could add like a parallel option in the build. I could probably do the same for like games and anything that involves GPUs. I could
Yeah.
probably if we got a fast enough connection, like internally, you could probably do some stuff.
But with GPUs, it's tricky. You need to do very sophisticated model of like the cost optimization, not necessarily monetary cost, right? Because it might be expensive to ship the training somewhere else, like, and even if it's gonna take longer on your PC here with the CPU or like very small GPU, you might get like the overhead actually you might not be that large to justify like go getting it like the big GPU somewhere in the cloud. But you need to size the model, right? So if you're trying to like retrain something huge like the like image like medical image,
Well,
right? You want to ship it out. But
what
if you
I'm
want to
doing,
do like LoRa optimization, you just do it locally, even if it's going to be slower.
yeah, yeah, that's a good way to think
So
about
it's
it.
a
One
total
of the,
cost of ownership, basically, right? So like if it's going to
yeah,
take like 15 minutes more and like you might just wait 15 minutes. If it's going to take days, an alternative is like spending $2-3 like on the cloud, then you just do it like and then.
well, actually, I optimized. So you guys know I've been doing my chip stuff with Roger over the last few
Mhm.
months, and one of the things that we had to do was the EDA, which is basically the final sort of test before you do the tape out and send it to the fab. And that software, which is crazy expensive, like $1 million to
Mhm.
buy a license for the software. And so the one we were using, I don't know the exact name, I have it somewhere, but anyway, it took 16 hours to do 256 tiles. And it was doing the tiles sequentially, and it was running the full detailed simulation essentially 256 times. I managed to, by using a parallel approach, go from 16 hours down to 55 seconds. And it's like I'm talking to the guys. I'm like, why hasn't anybody thought to like rewrite this software for like the age of AI? And apparently, it's just this software is like was built 40 years ago, and they're basically just patching it for the last 40 years. So it's like C code that just keeps going and going. And it basically the answer was it was too complicated for most people to sort of figure out. So the easy solution was just to keep kind of patching what they'd already done. And I show up, have no idea how the industry works. And I'm like, okay, hey, Claude, how can we do this so it doesn't take freaking 16 hours? And it's like, oh, let me create you some Rust. And that was like an evening,
Yeah,
right?
Good
maybe.
heavens. Can we
But a
zoom out a
lot of
little
this,
bit, Ruve?
yeah, okay.
Just what you're talking about and the ability to provide like operating system level guards for, I mean, one of the most devastating risks and attacks, for municipalities, for hospitals, are hijackers getting into the system, taking control and blackmailing for
No,
access, for file access.
well, two things I can do, which it's interesting you mentioned that. One, I can mitigate that from mitigate that or hopefully reduce the chance of that happening. I can't 100% eliminated, but I can greatly reduce it by catching it really quickly. And I've got the ability to do immediate rollbacks, right? So when you go the time, you can say, oh well, we were exploited on Tuesday, but it worked on Monday. We can go back and we can do that. We can run diagnostics on it, and because I'm interwoven into the very fabric of the operating system, I could probably surgically remove some of the problems. Now, some of the
Right.
problems might involve like exploited like user and profiles. I can also provide a mechanism right there to create new profiles or mitigate that as well. So 100%. This thing and of course everyone's like, why aren't you selling it? I don't know. I probably should sell it, but I'm not. I'm giving it away because I'm a crazy person. But yeah, so that's exactly why I did it. And if you go into Mac, I haven't done the Mac desktop yet, but you'll be able to go in here. You can choose, start logging or whatever, deep clean, optimize, and boom, I got I got an optimizer, and I'll have the exact same UI. although I prefer dark. So let's go back to dark. There's a ton more. And by the way, everything you see here there's a CLI for all of it. So you can go, there's a tutorial, you can you're getting started. You can see how I built the UI. This whole thing's like 5 MB in terms of the compiled UI. There's tutorials if you want to learn how to use it. And there's CLI for everything.
Could you access the CLI on the bias level? If
Yes,
you
well,
can't
not
get into
bias,
if
not
you can't
bias,
get
but you can do it on the command line.
what
Uh,
if you can't get into the OS or get on the internet? Maybe
one question: how much time did it take to build this here?
Here, I started yesterday, yesterday's hackathon, which was I guess 12 o'clock yesterday. No, I started yesterday morning. Yeah, I don't know, 20. The swarm was running for probably. Okay, I'm gonna do this for my kids. It was running for 6 or 7 hours. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, it wasn't running much. Like this is like an afternoon worth of work. But keep in mind, I had the CLI before. But if you include if you include the integration, that took probably like the original Mac and Windows integration, like the system tray that I was showing you, that took probably another 3 or 4 hours on top of that. And RuVector is a behemoth. Like I don't know how many lines of code we have in there. I think it's close to 2 million lines of code. That I've been working on that since September of last year.
Yeah. Stack, 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 right?
Yeah, it's the modular. It's all so now that I've got the self-learning, self-optimizing, attention, Ruve LLM, blah blah blah, stuff like just hundreds and hundreds of packages, I then can mix and match those packages. And because those packages I've built all to be WASMs, I instantaneously can use them in the browser or across different operating environments without having to recompile them. So it makes building these sorts of things super easy. Yeah. All right.
So to speak.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's what I've been up to since yesterday. Anyway, hurry, we got I think we got an AGI on today, so I'm
We do.
excited.
Of course, Div has been called into an investors meeting, but he's fighting to get out in time for 12:45. But we do also have Andreas Frederick. Andreas, you there?
Yes, yes, yes.
How are
Hi.
you?
Fine, fine, fine.
Welcome. So the lightning talks, we typically do about 4 minutes of presentation and then 5-10 minutes of discussion afterwards. And we are glad to have you. I understand you're working on some open source stuff
Yes. Well,
or other projects.
so let me know when I should start to explain. Now
I
or
think the floor is all yours, sir.
okay, okay. So I'm Andreas. I'm based here in Germany, in Heidelberg. Um, and we are building a startup here in Germany. We are three co-founders. Yeah. Um, uh, so I'm from Germany. I have my other co-founder is from Brazil, and another is from Ecuador. They are not here today. Uh, we are building up. Let me introduce you. What for? I was before I started this startup. I was working for Capgemini in Germany, and I was a project manager for a big project in the banking landscape. Yeah, and on the bank. I run into some kind of issues because I was the project leader for a big transformation project for digital payments, for instant payments. Yeah, it's named here in Europe SEPA. Yeah, and I was having no clue about that. And they told me, now you are the boss. You need to manage everything and explain all to the customer. Yeah. And I was in some kind of trouble and I was looking, how can I explain them compliance in the landscape of digital payments? Very fast, yeah. And the customer was asking me, yeah, you are the expert, you need to explain me everything, yeah. So I built up. This was the startup, the start when ChatGPT was coming out with the custom GPTs. Yeah. So I built up some custom GPTs for SEPA. Yeah. And it was very helpful. So I was thinking, it could be that it could be interesting if I would have just replace consultings or consulting with digital consultants. Yeah. Yeah. So I developed an idea around about of that, and it go up in the time. Yeah. And can I share this my screen? Yeah. I will give you. So we are trying to we have built up a platform for automate and compliance and governance. It's completely built with cloud code and codecs. Um, so we are thinking we are so compliance is a very complex area because you need to understand there are a lot of regulations here in Europe, yeah, and there are every day and every month there are coming more and more regulations, yeah, and there's a high risk for the companies to introduce some new technologies because they need to follow up their regulations here in Europe. Um, so what our solution is trying to monitor all the regulations here in Europe, yeah, and the solution is an agentic platform, an orchestrated agentic platform that is analyzing all and then executing that on the regulations. So it's modular and adaptable. The version 2 was open source, but the version 3 that we have currently, it's now closed because I'm not so fast like everyone from here, but it took us already now I think around 8 months there, that we are building this. Yeah. And yeah, we want to live from them later. Um, so let me show you the platform. Yeah, because so this is the platform that we have. It's in German, English, and Spanish available. So we have a front end where the customer can get join the experts in the area of, for example, the EU, the European Artificial Intelligence Act, and ask the expert there if what he needs to do to follow up all the rules in the company to introduce this regulation in the company. Yeah, and the cool thing about this platform is we have callers here. Um, There are, so for example, if we have an expert for a digital expert for the as I pointed out, the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, we can point a crawler to the regulation website, and we are taking all the regulations and we are generating with the regulations some kind of a regulation framework inside this platform. And so, and this regulation data items are then converted into some kind of knowledge graph. Yeah. So our platform is learning every day because it's bringing all the data from the regulations to our platform and building up the making the agents every day smarter. Yeah. So, and this is the area where we created the agents, and it's
And
um,
how did you build the agents? What framework did you use?
it's based on so the second version was based on Langflow, yeah. But it's the platform that you see here currently, it's not anymore, so we don't need Langflow. Did you are familiar about Langflow or
Yeah, it's
N8?
it's the drag and drop thing. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. 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 Yeah. But as I pointed out, we don't need Langflow or N8N anymore because we have so the platform is building around what is all open source out there. So LangChain, it's all the open. So LangChain, Langflow is based on also on LangChain. It's an that are the base packages where all the people has founded to create some kind of agents. Yeah. Did I need to explain that a little bit more, or is
No, you
everyone?
don't.
Yes.
We're
Okay.
the Agentics. Yeah, we're Agentics crew.
Okay. Okay.
We get it.
So
We get it. I think
That's
we're so in terms of are you live? You've got customers?
yes. As we are still building all up, and this platform is really only focused on regulations. Yeah. We have already. We was thinking how we get customers. Yeah. And we focused first of the banking area, but the banks are very serious. How can I say? You need to be very fundamental and already well established to get customers in the banking area. Yeah. So we are building everything already to serve that to the customers in the banking area, but our customers are in the moment in the medical area, in the small company size companies here in Germany. And uh, also, a friend of me in Singapore asked me if we could serve, if this platform could be serving in the IT security area, and we can definitely
Interesting.
Yeah.
build everything on
And,
that for these areas. Yeah.
and Jose, you have a question?
Yes, Andrea. Um, yeah, basically what I want to know is I think it's a good idea because here in Europe it's a nightmare for all the regulations.
Yes. Yes.
But who is certifying your agents to be a specialist? Because at the end we are relying on an agent who is certifying that this particular agent is an expert on
So
that.
in the area, as I'm a senior consultant or business manager. I was a business a senior consultant in the banking area. So I know this area very well. And you do not know. We don't need in this area normally certifications. Yeah, what you need to show is that the agents needs to be, how can I say that, Mm, have the qualification, yeah, and as we have the human factor here built into, so when the callers are picking up all the regulations, yeah, and I can switch. There's an autopilot here built into, but I can switch it off, and then um, a human needs to overlook all the regulations.
Validate. That's right. Super, Andreas. Sorry, I don't want to cut you short, but I agree, Jose. Like especially in Europe, any tool that will help navigate and stay up to speed in terms of compliance and regulation in Europe is a helpful tool. So, thank you, Andreas. Best of luck with that, and
Yes, yes.
I hope you Godspeed in terms of establishing those early adopters and enterprise clients. We do have, if it's okay, Ruv, if you're all set, we do have both Jacob, senior engineer, and Div Garg with us from AGI Inc. Div, Jacob, you with us?
Yes.
I think Andreas needs to stop sharing too, just if you can.
Right.
All right. How's it
There we
going?
go.
So we're meeting with AGI. Let's take it away.
Cool. So let's see. So we're building like universal computer use agents that can do anything for you. And let me just share my screen so I can like give a small preview of some of the things we're doing. We have a couple of different products we have built as part of our like company. The one we just announced is something that can control your whole phone. This is more geared towards we're calling it Siri that actually works. And right now it's more geared towards consumers. And we'll also be like enabling like a developer ecosystem. So if anyone is interested in using this as a mobile assistant that can integrate as part of their app, like this is something that we can allow. And as a company, we are number one in terms of our capabilities, where our agents can go and do anything on your like phones, PCs, browsers, and we are able to make sure like the agent will like go whatever you want. So if I say like buy me something on Lululemon, add it to my wish list, it can do that for you. It can order food for you on DoorDash, book appointments, do project management, uh, and it's very generalized. And as a technology, we really care about like the trust and security. And so we made sure like our agents are 99.9% reliable. So if you have a custom workflows, we train our agents to like be able to go and generalize and do everything well. All the data is also very secure. So the agents are able to like do payments for you. For example, they're able to log into different websites. And we have our own security mechanism. So we can ensure like all the data stores is encrypted and stored like properly. And we are able to also customize our agents for different businesses, different workflows. So we have seen like customers come to us by saying like, okay, like we want an agent that can scrape LinkedIn for us and like be really good at recruiting, or we want an agent that can actually go and like help us like do checkouts on websites like Amazon or like a bunch of other merchants. And we are able to build like this kind of very small agents which are very fast and very accurate on different use cases. And that's been like one way we have been able to distinguish and do something amazing.
Can you guys maybe just show us? Like we see your website looks great. Love the logo. Can you just show us in action?
Sure. So let me show you our platform. I will like log in again. This is something that's in early access. So if anyone here in the audience wants to like try it out, we can also give you access to play with it.
Wonderful.
All right, give it a second. Okay. And so this is like a platform where you can ask the agent to do anything that you want. So if I say go to Hacker News and maybe like scrape the top 10 post of the day, you can go and do this.
And
what's
what's your agent built in?
this is built in, I would say mostly like JavaScript. Is what we're using in the behind the scenes, and we also have like some like it's basically our own technology. So it's our own custom models that we host in the cloud, and then we are able to like.
And so you're predominantly focused on browser use?
We do everything. So we do browser use, but we can also do computer use. So we also have an agent that can control anything on Windows locally.
Okay.
Yep. That's the stuff.
And so explain to me your self-learning. You know that we're pretty big on self-learning here.
Yep.
What algorithm are you using for self-learning? Like, is it vector based? Is it attention, GNN? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so we use a lot of reinforcement learning, where we have a lot of like expertise when it comes to like methods like GRPO or DPO, and then we are able to combine that with training our own models. So where we like doing a bunch of things with also attention.
What kind of models? What kind of models?
These are our own models. We combine like diffusion models with transformers, and that allows us to like really generalize in terms
So
of what
you're using GPU centric approaches to incrementally train, or are you sort of storing and doing a kind of sort of fine tuning?
It's a lot of post training. So it's a lot of we collect a lot of data on different use cases, and we can like improve the model on those particular tasks.
And how frequently does that happen?
We can do it anytime. So we right now doing this like I would say like a couple times a week, and this could be happening like.
So I mean, when you say anytime, is that like as it operates, or you do it like on a cron job on a Tuesday kind of thing?
Right now, it's more like a cron job, but we also have like ways where like say a customer can give us a bunch of recordings, like here's some use cases, here's how I wanted to solve it, and then we can
Okay.
improve the agent on the particular like things they care about.
Gotcha. And you guys have any open source? Can we go and try your libraries and things like that?
Yeah, so we have like libraries available, and then we will be like putting out more examples. We have like docs that you can like, go and check out. So if you go to docs.asia.tech, Uh,
AJ Python, AJ Node.
yeah, and we support libraries for both like Python and Node right now. We can simply do pip install AGI and you can like get access.
So you're Python based. Do you have any Rust? We love Rust around here.
Not yet, but we do have like a raw library. So if you want to just directly like call the API as an HTTP client, then you can do that. And then it's very easy for us to also build a Rust library. So if Rust is a big thing, it's very easy for us to build that and give access to developers.
And what about coding? Like, let's say I want to do a code swarm or something. How does that work?
So this is like I would say like a modular API. So you can connect this to anything that you want. So like suppose like I want to create like something that can extract all the data for me, and then I want to connect this to a coding agent. That's very easy.
So you're not you like, what if I wanted to just use you as a coding agent?
I would say this is more of a browser agent. So it's more like a browser like automation. It's not like doing coding for me. It's like more like it's going and taking action. So it's like clicking, typing, other things. You can
So
connect with the coding agent, and that's
yeah.
something that you support.
Okay, so sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where you guys sit. So you don't do everything. You're essentially a kind of browser automation tool. Do you have like MCP integration?
We do, yes.
So how does that work? Is that sudo or SSE?
It's SSE right now. We actually just removed it like on Wednesday because we're doing some changes, but it will come back.
Okay. Yeah, you guys should I think you're definitely heading in a really good direction here. You should check out some of the stuff that we're doing with our attention and real-time learning. It would be perfect for what you've got here. It's open source, you can integrate it, do whatever you want with it. We're using micro LoRa's and a few other approaches to do the real-time training on embedding models, language models, various forms of action and world models, using a sort of inflection between vector and a graph space. It'd be perfect. Like, you guys could probably integrate that into your platform in like 5 minutes, and you would have a ton more capability. Just throwing it out there for you. Nick, you got any comments?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does this thing like make its own decisions to achieve a goal? Like, because you mentioned that you get kind of give it a prompt and then it'll run like on the desktop or something. But I'm just wondering, does it actually like could you give it a goal and it'll actually like go and figure it out for you, or is it more kind of like Claude, the Claude browser extension when you kind of just give it some instructions and it tries to figure it out, or does it? I'm just wondering if that's how this works or not.
Yes, so it's basically you can give it a high level goal. So in this case, we have different goals, like say extract me some data, check a status page, and based on the goal, it can figure out all the steps to take. So it can also like hop across multiple websites. So even if it's a very complicated task that requires going across like 3 or 4 websites, it's able to like cross aggregate the data and then do things for you. So if you say something like go to LinkedIn, find all these profiles and save them in a spreadsheet, it's able to do that. And if you also wanted to like do something on Salesforce or like any other software, so it's very good at like kind of like saving time for development by creating these automations on the fly.
That's cool.
Thanks.
Definitely, I think it's a stretch to call it AGI, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you're a little way from that, but I love the ambition. So it's cool. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Manus, but for a browser. It's or the agent capability in ChatGPT, right? It looks similar to that to me. It's cool. I think you guys are gonna do well. Yeah, and Matt, you got a comment?
Yeah, thanks, Div. This is exciting. Yeah, I just the other day I had the opportunity to go test out the application, and then it's very similar workflow like Claude. Was it Claude Cowork or Claude Cowork, where you can have actions? What are your top use cases or customer cases that customers want to use the platform for so far?
Yeah, that's a great point. So I'll say we've seen like pretty much everything. So there's a lot of developers and enterprises who are coming to us and they're asking us like, can we build ways for them to automate a lot of software? So example could be like Salesforce, a lot of like internal recruiting tools has been a big one. So a lot of people have been asking us for like all the recruiting, basically building an AI recruiter using our software. A lot of people want like something like that's like an AI salesperson or an AI like a GTM, like automate my LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and those kind of things have also been something that we are starting to do. And now we're getting a lot of asked from like the healthcare industry, the finance industry, and like for example, a lot of banks are interested in using us to create like automations where like we can like automatically download invoices, create automations where like it's able to like go and do complicated things in enterprise software. And the nice thing is this can also run locally, so this can also run on Windows as on an actual PC, and so it's not limited to just the browser, and that's
So
great because a lot of legacy apps are built in Windows.
Just
how
like
do you
templates or macros.
and
Yeah.
how are you handling agent drift, and how do you handle sort of bounded context so it doesn't go and do things it shouldn't?
Your screen went back black, by the way, Div. We
No
can
problem.
only. Okay, there it goes.
Nice. So that's some great questions. That's why we are actively training our own models, and because it's our own model, we do a lot of testing and evaluation. So for each customer, we build a lot of like benchmarks to make sure like the agent is doing exactly what it's told to do. And we're very big on evals. So we always check for like, is there any drift issue for any new use case we have not maybe like encountered
So
before?
you're not doing real-time drift though. So if the problem with a pre-trained model is it assumes the average, but it doesn't actually, control it so much while it's operating, right? Or am I missing something?
Usually yes, but we are able to also record trajectories. So if we know like something's failed, then in the next training run, we are able to improve that. So we basically do training runs like a couple times a week. So whenever we catch any issues, we are able to improve it. So like the agent gets better and better every time we train.
So you're using like a hyperbolic trajectory? What form of trajectory are you?
Um, I guess so.
Okay. Gregory.
Just a quick question, because at least in my mind, the examples that you mentioned, I would rather use code to automate many of them and only use the LLM in some very small parts of that automation process. I'm not sure if it's a good question, but how do you support this? Or
Well, the MCP probably would work, I would guess, right?
Sure. So what we're trying to do is like automate a lot of things in the browser. So like if you use a coding agent can't take actions, so it's not able to like click or type. So if I want to maybe like say like for example something like even this thing, if I want to extract data on a website, I still need to go to the right links on the website, click a bunch of buttons, and then scrape things. So we've seen that that's why like even like if you look at like the Cloud for Chrome extension, for example, you still need some sort of browser worker that can do things in a browser, and then you can connect it to a coding agent. And so that's what we're also trying to do. We are basically trying to build this browser abstraction. So this is like almost like an AI browser that's doing whatever you want, and then you can connect it to like a coding agent or something different over time.
Cool. Well, good. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate you taking the time to present your startup. I think you're in a great space. I'm sure you're getting lots of opportunities. This is the sort of thing we'd love to see. Thanks for sharing it with us. It's and for people who want to learn more, it's AGI Tech is your website.
Yes.
So yeah, great job. Cool stuff. And where are you guys based?
We're based in SF.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We're at the top of the hour here. We're heading into our after hours. If anyone has more questions, feel free to ask away.
Dave, can you dump your LinkedIn into the chat so we can?
Yeah. And one thing we can also do is for everyone in the audience, we're happy to give like $100 of free credits. And so you can just reach out to us on our homepage. We have a contact us button, or you can also like directly ping me, and then we can give you free credits to use.
All right. I think the idea here of computer use, browser use, OS level use that I was showing you guys earlier is definitely the thing that we're going to see a lot of this year, right? The idea that, I think the browser is almost too limiting for a lot of these applications, right? And I think that what we're seeing here is the sort of the autonomous automation of our sort of everyday applications. It's a pretty good example of what you can do. Yeah. So, if anyone wants to present, they've got something you want to show, you vibed, you created something this week that's exciting to us. We love to see it. So this is, just raise your hand, and I'm happy to take it. Oh, we got Alexander. How's it going?
Hey Ruben. Yeah, it's basically just a small announcement that Nick and me have prepared for the community. So basically, I'm from Germany, by the way, as well. And Nick and me worked closely together in the last days, and we now have our first Agentic Foundations meetup in Germany, which will be on the 3rd of March, here in the beautiful city of Nuremberg in Bavaria. And I just wanted to let all of you know that we will start a new chapter in Germany now, and I will really start with the basics because basically what I'm up to is getting people at a very basic level. I like setting a foundation where everyone can follow. I will record all of the talks and the meetups as well, so people who will join the community later have the chance to actually get the knowledge which I showed to others before, and can just stay on track with us for all the future meetups. So basically, we start small, but I think based on the people and who will join, it also has some traction. I would also post the link right in the chat, and if you could give it some love, that would be awesome. But so far, it goes pretty well, and I'm super excited to open like the German chapter and having Nick with me, who is really supportive with all of that and help me getting this done.
Well, we're really excited to have you do this. Germany has been one of our more popular locations, and it's good to see the community sort of taking hold. I'll have to introduce you to several other folks I know out of Germany, both Berlin and Munich, who have
Yeah, I'm
been
happy.
early backers and partners and supporters of ours. And
Yeah, perfect.
yeah,
Maybe we can do a combined venture out of that. Yeah,
oh
I'm super
yeah.
happy about that.
I'm not gonna lie, the Germans love Agentics. There's a very strong community coming from Germany, and we love them as well. So thank you for putting this together. If you give me more heads up, maybe we can do it like October next year, and I can maybe show up for a couple beers with you.
Well, that would be awesome. Well, you will not regret it because we have seriously, especially in Bavaria, by the way, we have the
Yeah,
best
no,
beer. Definitely.
yeah, definitely the best beer. Definitely. Oh, well, Manjweep, how's it going? You have a question?
Yeah, sure. No, I've got just wanted to table. Like I've been playing this week with skills, like, trying to create. And I wanted to get people's views about what the experience are. What I personally found is that I found like yesterday I was trying with Cloudflow V3 and Dragon's QE and DDD, basically the whole stuff. Simple thing as pointing to the repositories and trying to say, okay, Cloud, go and create a skill out of it. And I kind of got a skill, which is something like my system seems to have hacked. I probably need to use your optimizer. But it came back with something like this, which I'm going to share my screen very quickly if it decides to work still. So basically there is a skill that has come up. The instructions are very simple to kind of combine the different repositories by looking into it. And I used it. I actually used it to build something yesterday. And I was pleasantly surprised that it actually was a lot more automated. So I'm like, so far when I build, I'm very much in the loop. It's not there yet, but it managed to actually not only create a very structured set of documentation, then implementation plan, and that's basically phase wise was building. So that's what I've been up to, like looking at V3 QE and also TDD, domain-driven design and architectural decision records. So it creates everything that way. So this is what I've been up to. What have been other
Wow,
people's experiences around skills? And it's working.
that's
So I created
awesome.
this one. I will show you what I,
This
yeah,
is so cool.
Hey, Mandvip, I was
yeah.
actually working with skills the last like 3 weeks already. One thing, actually, if you scroll down, and one thing I see what the Claude does. So if you look at, for example, at the domain-driven design, right? So
Yeah.
that is kind of useless prompt because you're wasting lots of token about domain-driven design that Claude is already knows about it. So what I do, I actually once the Claude, I have very similar workflow to it. But once it creates the skill, I tell it go through the skill again and remove everything like internally.
Okay.
That's
So
smart.
just keep only the ones like that are unique to this project. And also the this one, the advanced usage.
Yeah.
Scroll up, right?
Which one? Yeah.
That's a lot of tokens. I would just tell it create pseudocode, very, very, very high level pseudocode, and basically because Claude knows how to write this TypeScript internally. So
Okay.
it just needs a pseudocode and very, very high level guidance, but it also needs very detailed guidance on the things that it doesn't know about. So that's a little hint.
Wow,
Nice
Um,
one.
that's a
So
good
this,
that's a good hint.
so I
Monweave,
came up with
where
this
are
arc.
you using the
Oh, and
skill?
this one
I'll
also,
show
the
you.
When you
I will
say,
show you.
diagrams.
yeah,
Yeah, one more
okay.
thing. The ASCII diagrams, it's also they kind of wasteful. Just ask them to do mermaids and just understand, or any kind of more compressed way, because this is not for people. This is for code.
Yeah, so I'll show you, like, for example, yesterday, what I did was, I think it was probably, yeah, I used it to create this version of the demo. So I think this is the one. Oops, my system has decided to go on. So all I did was I basically had a PRD and I pointed up here. So let me talk to the very top of this one, of this chat, to show you what I've been up to and how I use the skill. So here, for example, I've created the branch, usual stuff. And then I'm saying I have uploaded, and then I've said, okay, I had a basic PRD, applied some improvements with 6 thinking hats, and then once I had created the skill, what I did was, okay, let me just scroll down to where I asked the skill. Apply the skill, right, to this PRD. That's it. So I had the PRD, I spent some time refining the PRD, and then I created the skill separately, and I said, apply the skill to the PRD. And boom, it goes and creates the whole planning and all the phase-wise plan and everything. And it's all autonomous
And
all
and
the way
and
until.
uh, and Manjweet, remember in skills, if you're using Claude Code skills in particular, you can assign models to them. So what you want to make sure you do is use the cheaper models for skills that aren't requiring a heavy amount of thinking, right? Because you've done the thinking for the skill. You don't need Opus 4.5 for most skills. You're probably fine with like the Heroku or Haiku. Heroku is a service. A Haiku model, which it gives you like 100 times more usage.
How do you
Oh,
know? How can you test that? How do you
Uh,
know when you need to switch? And
well, in Claude Flow, you'll see that my skills have different models, and I'm changing, and I've got in a back to the comment earlier about trajectories. I determine which is the optimal skill that is the influence of both performance. I need to do it, and then the skill then has an associated model. So certain skills don't need as much firepower, thinking power. So I change the skill and the model associated with that skill in real time. And it gives me more bang for my buck on the usage on Claude in particular, or whatever. Rob, you got a comment?
No, I was just going to share something that I was working on.
Sure.
Can
Yeah.
Yeah.
can I just double click on the Mandeep on the skills real quick?
yeah.
I got into skills about a month and a half ago.
Hmm.
And I started pushing the boundaries on like what you can do with skills. And you'd be really, really surprised with like some of the crazy things that you can do. So like one of the things that I did recently, and I'm not gonna show it, but one of the things I did recently was with the Claude bot came out. I designed a more secure version of CloudBot, right? Kind of did the PRD and all that, then designed the skill to really build out the whole thing totally, and then took the open Claude repo, and then combined the two so that way I can have some of the functionality out of that one and all that. But you can just literally with the one of the things that I love doing with the Claude skills is like building a skill for whatever project I'm going to build it and it actually acts as like a kind of a guidance system to building that. Like the skills are really, really powerful. Like I would just suggest go try anything. Like just say like build me a skill to build a house. And like just try anything with it. Like just push the limits with the skills because you'd be surprised with all kinds of crazy things that you're able to do with it. Just by asking it to build a skill.
Yeah.
And
But also I
on top
would
of that, this brings
all
up
right, guys,
a
let's
very interesting thing, like about like I use that with your codes, right? Or Dragons, yours, Roof, and other stuff. I similarly use it. Dennis had been doing a lot of work about like taking unstructured data and then converting into structured data, and then using that data to direct the LLMs to save tokens. Now he had a huge repository. In our Wednesday fortnightly catch up at London, I was literally when he explained the whole thing, I was like, okay, let me see if I can create a skill. I literally asked it to create a skill, and it did exactly what Dennis was showing. So like slide mosaics and semantic graphs and everything. And I'm wondering now if that is the case, if everything is open source, anyone practically can point to a repository and create a skill for that, which means that you know obviously there'll be a level of checking, but that's a reusable skill for it. So that means um like in this example, like we were having this chat with the AGI stuff, right? Practically they could take their code base and say, look at Cloudflow v3, create a skill so that I can analyze my code base, whether it takes the best practices or not, what can I improve. So and they get it, so it's like it's a force multiplier. But that also means that But it means that basically you don't really need to be technical enough to understand the code. As long as you know a piece of code works, then you can take it and create something different. What does it mean?
You just summarized my entire mantra for all the code I put out. The reason why the code is in the form and the structure that it is, modular, extensible, pluggable, all those things is because I want others to take it and do stuff with it that I never thought that I could do. So your point about skills and tools and Cornelius's point is exactly on point. Everything you need to do, you just need to ask. Go create me a skill. Go fix that crappy app and make it better. Go secure it. Oh, is it secure? Prove it. Create me a skill that proves that. Guys, I think Robert's had his hand up here, and I want to give him a chance to
Can I have a quick comment to the previous topic? And are you here? And maybe it's a
sure,
last
yeah,
for me.
Go for it. Go for it.
So I'm not yet using Cloudflow, but for a good reason. I want to build my own muscles first, and then using the biggest guns. Oops.
Sorry,
There's
guys.
an echo.
Yeah.
So one kind of short learning for me was that so I'm kind of going the same route as kind of everybody, like having a good design document. And what I found that I started to use like sometimes hundreds of agents, like parallel agents, to make sure that design document is as coherent as possible. And when I kind of start finding just very, very nuanced issues, this is where I kind of generate a plan. And I tried the same path to make sure that the implementation plan and design document is coherent. But for me, it seems that it's a losing game because comparing two big documents, there is always kind of a lot of difference. So I kind of tried a new approach a few days ago, which seems working, at least for me right now. So I kind of cut one implementation step out of the implementation document, and then I run a loop to make sure that. So I kind of with the meta prompt I generate, one detailed step implementation plan for that specific step, and this is what I'm running in a loop until there is no issues. And what was so this is kind of like a winning game because there is an end with a good quality, and usually this can be kind of automated. So almost the fix in each step is kind of so the LLM can do it alone, and then I go forward with the implementation, and I find again with my limited experience this pattern quite fruitful because and then in each step the execution is quite
I think you just
small.
described. I think you did a great job of describing our Spark protocol, which does a kind of recursive validation and check of the specification. Now, you're right. That level of sort of questioning and refinement and recursion is key to developing anything. Did it build what it's supposed to? Does it actually work? And did I stay on point? Those are the primary points that you have to do in any specification. That's why the ADRs work so well, because it gives you all those things in a kind of structure that the LLM already kind of inherently knows. Okay, I'm gonna get to Robert. Robert, I really want you to show us what you got here.
Cool. So I'm the maintainer of Unicorn Scan, and if you're not familiar with that, it's like Mass Scan or Nmap or any of these other port scanners. But it was a dormant project for about 15 years, but right around Christmas, I decided to make it an active project again. So the new thing that I'm showing off today is a training module that I built that has a simulated environment that lets you play with the tool without having to install anything. And it even lets you scan your own ports if you on your own IP address if you wanted to. So it's a fun new thing. I just posted the details here. What is potentially interesting is I heavily used obviously all your Cloudflow stuff. I used the browser skill. And then I also integrated RuVector into it because not only does the trainer have the simulated environment, but it also has an Oracle AI where you can ask very advanced networking questions of it.
All right, let's see. So I do getting started. Is that what I'm doing here?
Yeah, you're in already. So you can cat that file or more it or whatever you want, or you can go into help in order to get this is a guided prompt at this point that tells you exactly what the objective is. You can do Control H to get help. Control L clears the screen, but yeah.
Oh,
anyhow,
sorry. Sorry guys, I'm getting some feedback here. I'm gonna mute all for a sec. You guys can unmute yourselves. All right. So you run the demo. You show me. Sorry, I muted you. Unmute yourself again. You run the demo and shows. I think this is amazing, and you know what? Your timing is great. Maybe we put this into the that optimizer app I was showing you for Windows and Mac.
Yeah, something like that could be fun. I actually am not set up well to do the demo. I'll go ahead and pass it on to other folks at this point. But the links that I shared, I think are enough to get started. You can read about it on the About page, but as soon as you go into the Try module, it's meant to be self-explanatory. Also, there's Easter eggs like you can try to cat the Etsy password, get the hash file, you can go crack it, and you can become root and you get more commands. There's a bunch of really fun hidden things like that in it.
All right, I'm on your GitHub too. So like for all of our open source friends here, if you could give a star would help us for any of these projects. So go head there if you can. I love the idea, and I'm gonna play with this later. Your timing is absolutely impeccable for the sort of stuff I'm working on right now.
Awesome.
Definitely useful. Definitely useful. Matt,
You should check out Rustscan also.
Rustscan. Okay.
Yeah, going back to the skills that when we brought up, my question was actually different. Is where, and it's a great point. So early on, I took your GOAT skill out of one of your agents, and I created a skill and uploaded it into Claude itself. Now, do skills overlap between Claude and Claude Code, or
I made them all. They're all compatible. So if you want to if you want to take the skill and put it into Claude, I think you have to create a zip file with the skill inside of it, skill.md, I think it is. And then in Claude Web or whatever, I think you can also do it now in the mobile. You can upload those skills, and then those skills become inherently available within Claude.
So I don't need to. So I can access them in Claude Code, even though I've uploaded them in the capabilities section in Claude, right? Because what my week showed was MD
assuming you got a .claude folder in Claude Code, yes. But what you upload to Claude desktop or mobile isn't inherently in Claude Code.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, if there was a delineation.
There's a delineation, 100%. There's a delineation. So yeah, I'm talking the desktops for desktop, the codes for code, but the two don't overlap, other than your API use anyway. But the the ability to create skills quickly and have it integrate, especially now the Claude handles NPM and MPX pretty well. You can quickly create skills that say use this particular library. So for example, I'll use my RV Lite library and that will give it a bunch of intelligence kind of thing and right in Claude desktop, web, whatever you want to call it, the proper Claude. Chris, you've had your hand for a while. How you doing?
Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, I was actually just wanted to double click on the whole scope versus agents thing. I'm kind of doing it in the side thread in the chat. But my question was more around just like in building with swarms and just to primary my experience is using Flow V2 and Agentic QE a couple of times, and I found okay results with it. Obviously, I could be using it better. But specifically, when you're building with swarms, you're calling on agents, or your swarms are composed of agents, but these agents are also, going to be able to call on skills, or they should kind of have skills embedded. But it seems like skills are actually more robust and more allow for more complexity. And so the question, the thread we're doing in the chat right now is around like how is skills and agents going to potentially converge or not, or like what's
They're
the
not,
utility of both?
they're very different, right? A skill, so if you want to use an analogy, a skill would be like in like, the Matrix when he shows up and he downloads the ability to do, jujitsu or whatever that he's learning to do, right? And that's a skill that he's downloaded and now has the ability to understand, right? So now all of a sudden I have the ability to do karate where yesterday I didn't, or I learned how to play the piano, skills. Now, an agent is what you do with those skills, right? An agent is the ability to act on the skills. I've learned how to, play the piano. Now I need to play a song. Playing the song is an agentic flow, right? I gotta hit the keys. I gotta be in time with my band and all that sort of stuff. It's agentic. Kicking someone's butt in after I learned how to do karate. That's an agentic skill. That's an agent. So the two aren't the same. You can create a skill that sort of tells you how to do the actions of an agent, but ultimately the agents are going to do the task itself. Now, when you think of like a swarm, is a level of concurrency or parallelism for the most part. It can also be sequential depending on the type of problem you're trying to solve, but it's essentially action. It's autonomous actions, right? So now I can spawn up 100 agents that look at 100 different possibilities of a problem, exploring it, independently of the sort of main orchestrator, the hive queen in my nomenclature, and then come back after 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a month, whatever it is, and say, here's what I've discovered. Here's what you need to know about this particular task that I was working on. And then the other 99 agents are saying, well, here's what I learned. Okay, we've learned all these things. Okay, here's how we're going to use it. Then potentially the hive mind, the coordinator, if you will, says, well, we need some more agents. We've got now 25 possibilities that make sense. Which of those 25 possibilities is the optimal one? Well, let's spin up a simulation and do a million different variants until we come up with the convergence on the optimal solution. All that's all agentic, right? That's the skill might have told it generally what it needed to know and understand, but it doesn't do, and it shouldn't do. It's a skill. It's more like how and why, but it doesn't actually do those things if you want to think of it separately.
The
Yeah,
ADRs you were showing the other day, could one think of those as skills? Because
Those are 100% skills. Those are
okay,
skills. So the ADRs are skills. The only thing, those ADRs are essentially really well-defined skills that define the objectives, the decision process, the resources, the domains. They're bounded, right? And the bounding is really important. It says you can't work with it outside of the bounding of this particular ADR, where a broad
very
skill
much.
doesn't define any kind of bounded process. So you get drift. It'll go and build shit you don't want, kind of thing.
But like, but then if skills can have their call on their own models, or use a particular model, like isn't in the analogy, isn't like Neo kind of like Claude SDK, and the skill is like just not just like an agent per se. Couldn't the Hive Queen just call on a specific skill? and just work
The
through
Hive
like
Queen, yes, and
the
that's what
Claude
the Hive
execute,
Queen does.
right?
And at least in
Exactly.
Claude code, the Hive Queen, the orchestrator, let's just call it, she's able to understand all the various skills available to her, and she can pick and choose which skills she needs to get the job done. So if she's doing security, she's going to pick the security skill, or more narrowly within security, there could be sub skills. But basically, she can, and then separate that so different agents are activating and accessing different skills if and when they need those skills. But if they don't, they're skipped. And that's what makes the system so powerful. Now, the ADR, without some form of bounding, these agents don't know the limitations of where and how they need to act beyond what's being described to them in this kind of orchestrated model. So for really complex applications, the ADR allows me to say, well, here's 50 parts of a really complicated application. Go spawn as many agents as you need to get this done correctly, efficiently, securely, and blah, 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 and let me know when you're done. Gregory?
But can we say that it's a skill? So there are kind of two concerns, because one is like the logical grouping, what you mentioned, like the how and what to do. But on the other hand, skills starts to gravitate towards being a container. So from that perspective, we could maybe say that skills can contain agents that you can kind of trigger.
Yeah, here, let me.
I was gonna
So
say
what
that.
Sorry, guys,
look at-
give me a sec. I'm gonna show you an example. So like here's a perfect example. So I'm creating an agent system for operating systems, right? So I need this will be a skill, right? So a game launcher, weekly timesheet reporting. So this is defining the sort of broad understanding of what's for games. Now this is then defining sort of the idea of a bounded context, what it needs to do. It needs to check for updates, verify, right? And then, or I need to learn, right? So there's this sort of balance between broadly what it needs to do as a kind of prompt, or now I guess we're calling skill. And then there's the specifics of what it is to actually do these things, right? So in this case, if I'm learning, then I need to give it boundaries for how it needs to learn based on the sort of context, right? That's a skill, right? So, and then you see the execution. That's the agent. This is the agent saying, okay, it started, it's scheduling, it's doing memory, here are the things we learned. Now I can apply it, right? So it's the separation that's important here. And this ultimately this is an agentic system, it just happens to be an agentic operating system. But this is how you sort of use any kind of swarm-based or agentic approach, at least the ones that I'm building. Sorry, go ahead, Cornelius.
Yeah, so the way how I simplify skills is like just metaphorically think about yourself, right? Like you think about you as the agent, right? Everyone here is the agent. Let's say we're all swarm of agents, whatever, right? Everyone here is an agent, right? So like if I need to go to the grocery store, I'm gonna call on my skill to drive a car. I'm gonna call on my skill to do this, but I'm the agent that's going to be acting upon that, right? And so like the way how you look at it is the skill is a skill. Like I put actually I was laughing when you said the Neo thing, because that's exactly how it is, right? So like the skill is learning Kung Fu. The agent is Neo, right? So Neo downloads Kung Fu and Neo knows how to now do Kung Fu. Whenever Neo needs to do Kung Fu, Neo's gonna call on that skill to start doing Kung Fu. Neo needs to fly a helicopter, he downloads the skill to be able to fly a helicopter. Whenever he jumps in the helicopter, he flies the helicopter. So you got to think of the agent as the agent is the thing, the guy that's doing the thing, or the guys or the swarm of people that are doing the things. The skill is the skill that you're giving them, the abilities that you're giving them for them to do the things that they're doing. So you can create any kind of ability you want to give to your agent, your Neo, for them to be able to do that. Like that's like the easiest way to see it is that you already know how it works because you have jobs that you do on a day-to-day basis. You went to school for certain things, you gain certain skills. You're the agent that now able to do those skills. It's just that you should then transfer that into the AI world and it becomes a little bit different.
Yeah.
Vlad?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, basically, people said half of what I was going to say. So my take after like this 3 weeks of deep dive, you need to keep skills very, very small and tight and always use agents to do tasks. Like how Roof said, there is a skill to play the song, right? So one of them is getting the keyboard. So like there is a thing like that, like the keyboard is in the roof's house. Like, so that's when you launched an agent that's going to drive to roof's house, grab the keyboard, bring it back. And one thing about agents, because what you need to watch is like your context, right? Because getting the keyboard for playing a song, I mean, it's important, but you don't need to pollute your context with driving to roof's house and everything. If you use the agent for it, it's going to completely bring your keyboard, and then it's going to disappear. And all them, like the top level skill sees, it's basically, it sees the, like we needed the keyboard, they told the agent go get the keyboard, and then keyboard appeared. All these independence actions, they don't matter in the things. And actually, if the whole playing song, it should be like a skill maybe of like, I don't know, 20 lines long, and it should be calling engines basically compose the music, like all the band members, get them together, like so, like skills should be super high level. And also agents can use the skills themselves, and those skills that agents use, they can again call the agents. So it's a hierarchical, this things like, and that.
Yeah.
So, so with the, I hate to do this, but like with the skills, that's actually the opposite. Because of the progressive discovery with that the skills actually utilize, you can pack a crap ton of stuff into a skill. You can
Yes.
make skills really, 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 really big and really, really complex, right? And because of the way how the progressive discovery works, it's not going to cloud your context window that much, because it's going to first try to figure out what it's trying to look for. The agent's going to figure out what it's trying to do, what it's
Yeah.
trying to use in that skill, and then go to that. I've created
Yeah,
skills
but
that are in equal departments in the organization.
yeah,
Yeah,
but what's gonna
I think it's
happen if
I
you
think it's
put
open
the,
to sorry
yeah,
guys,
okay.
I think it's open for interpretation. I think, my approach is not broad. I just don't have the best results with broad skills. They have the tendency to drift. But there's nothing saying you can if you spend enough time on it. It's probably I just don't. I like to have make mine focus because I can measure it more easily, basically. All right, sorry guys. I get Igor up on online here. What's happening?
Yeah, hey guys, I was just listening to the conversation. I wanted to ask, can you like meta skill essentially? So you pack, as Vlad was saying, so you have a small skill, but in that skill you pack references to other skills. So you were like, okay, say we play the keyboard, right? We have a skill to play the keyboard, and then we have a skill for the individual songs or for separate
Yeah,
instruments and
you're
etc. etc. Is that
Yeah.
you're describing the narrow focus, right? And by making the skills more narrowly focused, it's easier to mix and match those skills rather than having one skill that says here's everything you need to know about everything, which works for some things. You can then, if you separate those, let's say there's 5 different parts to that everything skill, then those 5 different parts can be mixed and matched more easily independently of the other parts. So it's and to reference those, that's where you can have this kind of idea of a primary skill, a kind of master skill of sorts that allows it to understand that there's subordinate parts of that that can be sort of, used independently if needed.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just thinking maybe like I could, for example, take the developer run book of some of the projects that I work on, and then could make a skill for every dependency in there. And then I'm just wondering if the agent would actually be able to comprehend the meta skills or not. Like, does the AI know how to
It does.
do
It
that?
does.
And,
Yeah, it
yeah.
does. And that's part of one. It's part of the. There's 2 primary places you're going to want to sort of define that. And in Claude Flow, if you look at my claude.md file, you'll see that it's mostly about itself. It's mostly about self-discovery and understanding where and how to use the available tools that is available to it in a way that's meaningful in the things that it needs to do. So predominantly, it's for coding and actions and activities and research. And then from there, I kind of let the system do its own sort of self-discovery and self-optimization based on that. So the self-learning capabilities then take effect. And so it understands what it's done to get here, even if it's been a day, a month, a year, whatever. And that keeps the system getting better over time. Brad, you got a comment?
Yeah, just wondering for when you're working with skills and agents, is there a process that you find works well for making sure that it's codified rather than just a text-based suggestion like a lot of skills? How do you initiate a trigger that make this deterministic that you run X test rather than the LLM just giving the best guess?
Well,
could.
it's all grounding. You never ask the LLM. LLM's always going
Yeah.
to lie to you.
Yeah.
So if your grounding is basically saying, "Hey LLM, is this true?" or give me some bullshit statistic like it's 95% accurate, it's made up. LLMs can't do math for one, so asking it to do math is just beyond any kind of what 2 + 2 kind of stuff is a recipe for disaster. So what you need is an independent grounding, some other secondary source that validates all the things that you're telling it to do independently of itself.
So are you
Otherwise,
using, what are you using to initiate that through? Like to
well,
make sure
I'm
that the
using
grounding
I'm,
is
I'm using I'm using my Vector and Cloudflow stuff
Yeah.
that operates independently of the LLM. So when all the learning, all the all the crazy is essentially independent. The only thing the LLM is really doing in my environment is giving it the command and control structure, in a way that is something I can understand in English. But beyond that, most of the learning is in vector space, which is 100% mathematical.
Yeah.
Most of the grounding capabilities and attention mechanisms are all in that sort of interplay between the vector and the graph and attention. And that's all mathematical as well. And then ultimately, I just need it explained to me in a way that I can understand that isn't just math. And the LLM interprets it back to me in normal English.
I think it'd be really cool if we could have the adaptable grounding kind of incorporated into adaptive grounding incorporated into skills, and even like if skills could reference vectors directly in the database. So you have a certain problem, for example, and the system actually develops a skill how to solve that problem. It would know in the skill what works and what doesn't work, and then update the skill. I think that'd be something really
Build
cool.
exactly that. I mean, I can show people. Like, I'm just need a second. Do you want me? I'm just need to find the base.
Yeah,
That's not.
that's the exact bridge that I'm trying to find is.
Yeah. So I
Brad,
just
so
force it.
So one of the things that so when I'm building a skill, and again I do it differently than most people, but when I'm building a skill, what I do is I build all of those rules within that, and all of those things, and all the memory, and all the outside information, research, and everything is actually built within the skill itself, right?
Okay.
And so when the LLM or whatever the agent is calling on the skill is going to try to figure out again through that progressive discovery, is going to try to figure out what exactly I'm trying to do at the time, and then is going to call on that specific section, and then go deeper and deeper and deeper in that within that skill to find out exactly what it needs to be done. So you can actually have it. The skill is the bounding mechanism itself, right? It is the mechanism that controls everything. So like that's why I use it sometimes when I'm building a project. Like I'll put my PRD and all of those things within this skill. Like say like for example, I'm building like right now I'm building a BEC business email compromise thing, right? And so I'll build all of the structure within the skill, and that skill now is used to build the product itself, so that if I ever start going off the rails or anything like that, it can act as a single source of truth to bring everything right back into the build itself.
You're asking, Cornelius, you're asking the single source of truth is a recursive problem. You're asking itself for its own truth. And of course, it's gonna believe the thing you told it to believe. It's its own truth. What I'm suggesting is you ground the truth outside of itself, and that's what you described is a monolith, right? You've got one giant prompt that you stuff into the LLM and say, here's everything you need to know, go do it, which is fine for certain things. But generally speaking, I think we're moving away from monoliths for most code,
Hey,
and you're moving back to it.
That's not what I'm
Do you want
saying,
me to
though.
show? I'm ready to show what I got, and I'm
Sure,
actually
yeah.
would love to hear
Go
like
for it.
kind of critique and tell me if I'm crazy. Like, so hold on. This is the. Do I need permission to share, or I can just share? I guess. Okay, you guys see my screen, right? So what I see, because my workflow is kind of complex, so I have like one of the skills is the code author, right? I never call it myself because there is, and actually I can show you. Yeah, I also stop because this is very internal skill, so like it's getting code like inside, and this is how like the code writing. If you notice, there is nothing about the specifics how you write code, because what you so you declare intent, and what next thing is you query the pattern guidance, right? And I have these guides. So the guides, and then there is a reason I don't use vector things. So the guides actually read the manifest, and in the like there is the whole thing of patterns, like this is right here, right? And there is manifest how you look up the patterns, right? And for example, like the agent needs to write logging like code, right? So there is a whole guide, because the reason I do it this way is because I work with a lot of existing huge code bases. I cannot just make agent like make up their own code. They have to follow standards and everything. So these standards I actually wrote with Claude together, but it was a collaboration. And this actually guides have specific code snippets. And this whole thing is only being loaded in the context of like subs agent when it writes the code, when it writes the logging code, right? So if I'm doing the monitoring, like so for the Sentry integration, right? That would be like a separate agent with this separate. So this there is only one skill, the code writer, but it gets called in different context, and depends on the context that will load the proper sort of like the guide here, right? And
It's
there is a
interesting.
few.
So the patterns are secondary prompts that you're injecting based on the conditions that it needs
Yeah.
to sort of
So I have
understand them.
this bunch of guides here. So there is implementation planning guide, there is coding guide. So if you look at there, so what the guide does, it's basically, it's the one that goes and looks at the patterns. Like I try to keep like, do not mention any specific, because there is also something called manifest in the patterns are here. So this is where the patterns are listed, and some mandatory, for example, like the core principles, like to do TDDs, how you name variables, how you format things, this are mandatory. Like for specific language, like this is for coding, right? But for specific languages, like when you're working with Docker, like this is only being loaded when there is a Docker operation. So you write in Docker files, like those are never like loaded. Like when you write in Python. So you either write in Python or write in Docker, like, and this is the whole manifest. That's basically, that's my vector space. And there is a reason I'm actually maybe going to vectorize. I was hearing like something like different. I just went to the talk. Yeah, but that's all I wanted to show. Like, and they have
That's
like,
awesome.
and my skills are super tiny, like, and most of them are stolen from Roof and Dragon, basically. But it
Can't steal something you're giving away. And this is awesome. I think that I really like what you're describing. I think the combination of like the secondary sort of definition that you put in is a really nice way to do it. You're basically saying, here's the primary, and here's how here's where you can find other related information if and
Yeah.
when you need it. It's like you're just putting like a combination of variables and conditionals in the prompt.
Yeah. Oh, and also, so the workflow themselves, like, actually found them, like, so when you work on something, when you start working, right? So this a different. So when you start the Claude, right? It kind of interrogates you. It has this context workflow. It basically tries to figure out what are we working on, right? And then it picks correct workflow. Are we like doing a new like things that causes the spark? Like there is a security review. So this workflow, they actually guide very top level, basically what the task you're doing. And that is actually, there is a guidance how, like what needs to be loaded, because workflows themselves, like they load it. And I try to keep everything as abstract as possible. So like the coding workflow, it's just coding workflow. It basically says declare intent to look for guidance, write code, like, and after that there is actually validate. There is after the code is written, it's put again through the whole I call it quality agent. It basically loads the guidance again, loads the code that was produced, and it sees, hey, is the code that's produced, does it match the guidance? And with the opposite works most of the time, but once in a while it has to go through the loop like 2 or 3 times. I don't even look at it. It just, I go away, like it takes about 20 minutes, like I come back, like there is code written, and it so it was like 3 iterations of writing code. It wrote the code. That first time it was crap, it went back to fix it. It was less crap, and on the third time it passes, like, so that's the
cool.
And they have like
That
I
was
think
my question. Does it, like, so for example, first time, second time failure, does it update the skills? Do you guys like have the skills auto update? No. Okay.
no,
That's what
I
I
never
want to try
update
implementing.
skills.
So
I only update the skills now. So I spent maybe first couple of weeks writing the set of skills. Now I only update the the guides, because I have one step here. It's called reflect. Let me see. Is the actually this is older one. Oh no, actually it's right here. So it's reflect. So at the end of the workflow, when everything is committed and plans are committed, it goes through reflections and it looks at the whole sessions and it asks you series of questions like what went wrong and like is there something to learn about like our experience. And that what happens
Yes,
next, that updates the guides actually, like so that's
I see.
yeah.
I
I do
also have
update
something like
skills. I
this. I
haven't
don't
updated
update
skills like for
guidance.
like a week after like I set this up. Like it just I update the guides all the time. Like so it's
Cool.
I have a
Chris,
progress.md file, and then sorry, I was just gonna say I have a progress log, and then same as you, Vlad. Basically, I have an agent read the progress log, and then
yes.
update the agents.md files
Yeah, so
accordingly
these
with
are
like
my
stuff that.
plans. So I actually write. So the thing was written. Let me see what's the good one. Skills. Let me see. Okay, right. Yeah, this is the actual work, right? And yeah, this is the progress at the top, right? So and it's actually the reason it's structured like this because implementation plans they take huge amount of context. You don't want to do it. I have like agents that actually there is one that reads like that, just that. And then it says, hey, like we on this phase, and I actually have this blocking emojis, like if something depends on something, like it will not. So it picks up that, and then it's after that it goes to the second, and like what are we delivering, basically, right? And then there is super detailed, like I mean, this is not super detailed, but some of them are 2,000-3,000 lines, but it never reads the whole thing, like ever. It basically just. The most it reads at one time it's this like whole phase of like how many lines is it like 100 lines like so if you do in Python VCR experiment because it's in its own context that like basically when it's done like that agent and that would be like an agent working on it and once it finishes like it will write a little report what it did and it will just go away like and like you never like probably because you want to keep your main context very very short essentially that's the my goal. So I guess
all right. I think Chris has had his hand up for a bit, and we're gonna have to wrap up here in a few minutes. Chris,
how do you?
Yeah, just to put a bow on this, yeah, it dawned on me that like both skills and agents are .md files. So we're just choosing to name them the way we're naming them. I feel like you could theoretically, and I plan maybe to try this out, is wrapping an entire project in a skill, and then just thinking of agents as what we consider agents right now to be like sub agents or like I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I think it'd be interesting to experiment with,
Chris,
especially just
Chris, one
adds so
thing,
much.
so the agents can use the skills, that the skills can use agents again, and it can do them in parallel, and so it's a whole sort of like swarm of like things happening.
My impression of the biggest difference is the agents actually are spawned as parallel threads, right? If you look at sub agents and Claude Code, that's actual parallel work, whereas the skill is typically run in serial with whatever thread is trying to use the skill.
Yes, but the agents themselves can launch skills again, and then those skills can launch more agents. So I think the most I had. So actually, when you hierarchical, I think Claude has internal limit how many it can launch. I don't know, Roof might say it, but I think for me it was 15.
It's 15.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's about 15. Because if it
you,
has more than 15 in parallel work, it will actually run first 15 and it will like run. But you can put like hundreds of them like in your sort of workflow, like it will just run 15.
there's what I'm doing is I've separated the agents into three parts. So you within the primary sort of Claude Code system, you can run a maximum of 15 agents at a point. But within that, you can do sub agents, and those sub agents allow you to invoke other instances of Claude Code, for example, which I do. And then those instances of Claude Code, I run headless. So because I don't need to actually see the UI. So then I can and for the headless agents, I don't want to max out my Claude Code usage. So for those, generally, I either use like OpenRouter or some cheaper model. Sometimes I use Gemini, or I'll use my own Ruve LLM to do certain things because it's free and local. And then and from that vantage point, those 15 sort of primary threads, if you will, can become thousands of agents running and optimizing and doing. And then the last part, I've got the daemon. The daemon's always running, always monitoring what Claude's up to and saying, how can I secure it? How can I fix it? How can I optimize it? That kind of stuff. And that's running continually as you use, at least my system. So those are the three primary sort of, I don't know what you want to call them, threads or layers or something.
I also, I guess, I don't know if you're like allowed to speak about the what's the thing, the gas town. I found that whole write-up is very hilarious, just like entertain. It's very educational to read, even if you don't intend to use Gastown, just read it. It's like hilarious.
Oh, and I
it's
had a
what's
ga-
even more educational. It's not
Yeah.
the write-up itself because he opened the like side comments. Like the side comments also like priceless there. Like it's
Yeah. It's doing some cool stuff. I like the beads concept. I created a plugin because I could. You know, if you want to use Gastown in Cloudflow, you just ask Cloudflow to use Gastown, and it'll find the plugin. I don't know. It's a different approach to solve similar problems. You know, is it better? Is it worse? I don't know. It's different.
I haven't actually looked at, but I found the write-up itself is very highly like hilarious and educational. Like it's the
Yeah, it's cool. Last comment before I jump here. I'm going to be looking for some beta testers and for folks who aren't afraid to dig into the bowels of their computer. So it's not for everyone, for sure. But specifically, I'm going to do some testing here on the my OS automation capabilities over the next probably the weekend. This might be my middle of the night hacking thing I'll do on the airplane to India. But this is functional now. You can create OS level, complete automation. So I'm a little concerned about like security for obvious reasons and other sort of runaway processes. So this is for anyone that's willing to go and potentially destroy their computer. I haven't, as you can tell, but you know, you are working in the midst of the, inside of that environment. Um, I'm going to share a link to the GitHub. It's in a branch, but you know, and then once I get the Windows version working, I'm going to do a Mac version after. But I did more work on Windows, so it's for
How
Windows
about
users only.
Linux? Any Linux?
Linux is easy. Linux, once I get the Mac version working, Linux, I just get Linux. So the Mac basically gives me Linux. I'll do that last, but yeah, Linux would be an interesting one, especially for servers, right? If you're doing like server farms or like broad GPU style, deployments, this would be perfect, right? Because a lot of the problems you have in those sort of broad, I'm going to deploy 20,000 servers for a week is what happens in the midst of that churn. Most of these systems are set up to sort of, set and forget and then tell me when it's done. What this system would potentially do is optimize during the whole entire process. If you're doing like, let's say I'm training a language model or something for 2 weeks, kind of work. So yeah, it would be good in Linux.
Cool.
I'll do that. I'm one guy. I can only do so much. So Windows was more pressing to me because I do a lot of my stuff initially in Windows and Ubuntu Linux. So I kind of get both in one environment on easy here. But I'll do Mac after that. All right, that's been another week. The first month of the year is over. Thanks everyone. Was a really interesting, and it's interesting that we had a kind of thread here of like OS level automation, browser automation and OS automation. I'm excited by this whole area. Thanks everyone. Am I missing anything? Any last comments before I jump off here? All right. Thanks, everyone. Till I guess I'm not around, but our friends from Finland will be doing next week's AI Hackerspace. They're doing some amazing work. I'm kind of jealous I won't be able to attend. So thanks for Timu and the whole crew for putting that together. All right. See ya.